What's up, guys? Welcome back to another live. Are you live on IG now?
It's still not letting me hit. I'm hitting go live. It's not working.
It's not going live. It should for you now. Mine is. Okay, so here's what we can do. I'm gonna set it up for you again. You can just send me the live. For those of you who are watching, we are doing this for the first time through this platform. So I want to know where you guys are watching from, and can you hear us? But we are going with the flow as we go along to try to figure this thing out. Are you still not able to hit go live?
Nope, I'm not.
Okay, so here's what you can do. You can actually do a new StreamYard link. I'll add your link, and you should be able to go live at that point.
Okay.
For those of you watching, where are you watching from, and can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, and let us know where you're watching from. I see some people I know in the building. Shout out to Africano, content creator in Salon. What's up, what's up, what's up?
Somebody said Texas. Okay, Texas.
Okay, Texas in the house.
Washington, D.C.
Okay, D.C. It sounds like all the Sierra Leonean places, of course, in the U.S. On my side, I don't see anybody. Okay, Alabama. So we
Zambia.
got 945-216 from Alabama. Minty from the DMV. Nolan Williams said you can hear me loud and clear. Waiting on your consent. From
Hawaii.
Yeah, Sacramento, California. We got
Phoenix.
The UK in the building. Let me know when you send me that other link. I'll add it. Catherine Smith is in from Houston, Texas. Manelik showed up a little early. Good afternoon, bro. And then we have some comments from some other folks. We're going to give some time for people to join. Today's live feels a little spontaneous, but today we're going to talk about this Kush epidemic in California, in Sierra Leone. And this is not your Cheech and Chong Kush, all right? This is not your Kush cookies from the dispensary in Washington, D.C., Seattle, Washington, or New York City or California. This is something else, and we're going to talk about it. This is something completely different, having a huge impact on the youth in Sierra Leone, and we got to talk about it. I, first of all, am a cannabis advocate. So this is not a cannabis issue. This is something else, and it's very, very serious, and we're going to talk about it. I mean, it's some serious stuff. So we'll be getting into it in a moment here.
I just resent the link.
Okay, cool. So it's going to take a moment, and we're going to add admire. Oh, I know why it didn't work before, because I added the wrong link before. My bad.
Oh my God.
So guys, you guys got to understand. Bear with us here. This is our first time doing this as a group on this platform. But
please.
Weekly, we plan to go live and do this weekly. Our goal is to always bring you stories from Sierra Leone, what's happening, and how it's impacting people on the ground and the diaspora as a whole. So we'll go live on each platform, and we will ensure that the folks as a whole. So, is it working now?
No, that was your Instagram that I see that you're live from your page, but it's not working.
Okay, because I have an old stream key in right now. And it's okay. Let me remove the destination and start all over again. I'll remove it, add it again, and then you should be able to join. So let's do that. Sorry about that, guys. Again, these things are challenging. It's new for all of us, but I think we're getting the hang of it. You should be able to go live now. So Catherine's from Houston, Texas. We already said that. Who else do we have in the building from Instagram? We got a bunch of people watching from where? United States. Catherine is in Georgia. We got Shades of Nude. Okay. Oslo, Norway. That's an interesting name, but I guess living in Norway, that makes sense.
It's not working.
Is it not?
No, it won't let me, I'm clicking go live, but it's not. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. So it was the most recent one you sent me. the 1 minute ago one, but it should go live. I don't know why it's not going live. Let me just edit again and try it
Okay, so
again.
I just came on the Instagram tab. The screen that was there, like going live with streaming software screen, it's gone. This is so weird. And I didn't exit out.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. We're back. So what'd you say, Meyer? You just did something.
I was saying that I just went on the Instagram tab, like where the go live thing was, it just disappeared.
Yeah, it disappeared because I removed it. I'm gonna re-add it right now. And so I think you might have to send me a new stream key.
Okay.
All right, guys. So sorry about this,
Sorry,
guys.
guys. This is hard.
This is what we're doing right now is we're using a third party, and Africa and technology and everything is working against us. It's conspiring against us. But we're gonna have this conversation about what's going on with Kush in a
Yes,
moment.
we are.
So here's what we'll do. While this is up on the screen and people can see what's up on the screen, I will say this. As a cannabis advocate, I first heard about what they're calling Kush here in Sierra Leone about 4 years ago. And for me, it was just like, oh, all right, this is Kush. You know, who doesn't like some Kush? You know, if you're a cannabis consumer. I was quickly alerted to the fact that I don't know what you think Kush is, but it's not that. And I was shown a video of someone that was a very disturbing video. And then throughout the last couple of years, over and over again, I've heard about this thing happening at a bar, Moms, where a young a young employee there had an untimely demise. And then I've also seen at other places where other people had experienced loss of life. And so it's a really, really important topic to have and discuss. And we wanted to make sure we brought this to you guys. By the way, I got the stream key.
Okay.
We brought it to you guys' attention and we talked about it. So, Admire, you should be able to do it now.
Okay, let me try.
Go back to that tab. Hopefully, the
Yes, finally. All
2
righty.
thumbs up. All right. So we'll reintroduce the topic to everybody on the Sierra Leoneans Killing It channel. All right. So let's do this. Let's start with introductions. This is the first of many cooperative lives that we'll be doing as Sierra Leoneans Killing It and Authentic African. Today we're talking about that mass burial for the 32 Kush victims, and we're going to talk about the history of Kush and everything that goes along with it. But first, let's talk about who we are. So I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Joe Hotagua. I'm an American-born Sierra Leonean who repatriated from the U.S. to West Africa in 2020. I am the CEO of Authentic African Media Group, and we focus on everything from Pan-African breaking news, Pan-African activism, culture, and history. I help people get African real estate, invest in Africa, and travel to Africa. And my co-host and the other half of this live partnership is Admire. I don't know if you want to do your own introduction because I don't think I'll be able to do it as good as you can.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Admire. I am a licensed cosmetologist and an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of the Sierra Leoneans Killing It page. And I'm really excited to be doing this with Joe. He's doing really big things with his platform, Authentic African. So the Sierra Leoneans that are tuned in, if you're not following his page, make sure you guys follow him, okay? I'm really excited for us to talk about this because I don't see anybody in the Sierra Leonean community talking about this topic. I know it's like cringe, but like I don't see them talking about it. So I'm glad that we are talking about it and we're using our platforms to do so. So
Absolutely. And I'll just add to that as far as, the Sierra Leoneans Killing It platform as well, is highlighting Sierra Leoneans at home and abroad. And I think it's really important to do that. We're a small country of less than 9 million people, and who knows how big our diaspora is, but we are a very proud group, and we need to do a good job of continuing to highlight our stories. And so Sierra Leoneans Killing It not only updates you on news stories, which they talked a little bit about what's happening with Kush and Maya posting some stuff, and also she highlights Sierra Leoneans who are actually killing it. So, I'm happy to have been featured last week, and I look forward to seeing more of you on there. So, Mr. Kai Kai is in the building. Jaya, my cousin, who just recently went back to the States. I'm gonna call you a little bit later, Jaya. And we have Jade Riley watching from Virginia. All right, nice. So let's get back to the topic at hand. So Kush kills, right? I mean, that's just as simple as that. So let's give a little bit of background. As I mentioned to you guys before, when I heard about Kush, I'm like, oh yeah, Kush cookies. In America, the Kush is a description of a strand of cannabis that is sold in many dispensaries around the United States. It is also sold in the illicit market. Pre-cannabis legalization in many states, people could buy Kush, right? Whether you believe in its legality or not is, a different thing. But that was something that was happening, and so it is a strand of cannabis normally. However, in Sierra Leone, it is something completely different. In fact, most of the time there isn't even, or much of the time there isn't even cannabis in it. It's something completely different. So let's talk you through it. So first of all, let's just get some background on what it is, right? So it's so addictive, users become hooked after a single hit many times. They themselves quickly trapped in a cycle of self-destruction. In the recent years, Kush has been a mixture of many dangerous chemicals, and Sierra Leone has the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is increasingly becoming concerned about it hitting the youth. It's only 25 US cents for a dose for an hour-long trance, and the drug is extra addictive. So, as they're saying here, it appeared around 5 years ago, wreaking havoc among the young people. It mimics cannabis in some cases. The early versions did, but now it's what they're calling a zombie drug. So let's talk about some of the ingredients previously and the ingredients today. And then we can do some reaction. So number one, it originally was K2 or SPA or spice, which is a plant material sprayed with a psychoactive chemicals. What they'll call it here locally is green leaf, and they buy what they call injections, which is, we're not even sure what that substance is. And then there's also a toxic spray that they say comes from overseas that they spray these leaves with, let it soak for 24 hours. So this is what they were originally selling. Sometimes it was cannabis sprayed with these things. Sometimes it was other leaves, and many times it was K2. Now, why is this important? Many of the people who sell this will tell you my version is not that toxic because I do this and I do that. I don't do what everybody else does. I think that is BS. You got to tell yourself whatever you can tell yourself. So you're not telling yourself I get up every day to help people experience loss of life, right? So people who I've heard who are in that industry, who talk about other people in that industry, because many of them run around Sierra Leone, big chains, nice cars, the people that you'll see and you'll know. Their idea is that this is not something that that their version is not the one that's impacting people. It's harmless and non-toxic. These are phrases that I've heard and watched in videos that are online. One of the things that they're saying now is, as of the last 2 years, new ingredients have been mixed in. One is fentanyl, which is a synthetic opioid that is up to 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. It's a major contributor to the fatal and non-fatal overdoses in the United States currently. And this, by the way, is something that they're saying is one of the ingredients in many people's Kush here in Sierra Leone. Then there's also tramadol, which is an opioid medicine used for short-term relief of moderate to severe pain. It's not usually recommended for the treatment of chronic or long-term pain, and it's only available from prescriptions from your doctor in the United States. Not the case here. And then lastly, there's another ingredient that they're saying is grind up bones, which because it has sulfur concentrate in it, it acts as a quicker way to get high. So this is what they're saying is in it now. That's a lot of information. I want to
Right.
get your thoughts really quickly before I move on. What are your thoughts on that, Maya?
That is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, and it sounds like BS for the ones that say, "Oh, it's not harmless or it's non-toxic." That's a lie. Like, how do you feel lying to people and literally unaliving them? Like, how do
Mm,
you feel every day going to bed knowing that that's what you're doing? It's just crazy. And then like the people who actually are like when you know, like I saw a video of Esther Thomas talking where she was like, if you know for say it depend do the thing that the Kush people that they take out, they do bad thing then to the people that they take out. Why you want for try 'em? Like that's the thing. It doesn't even I don't get it.
yeah, yeah. And I think it parallels the crack epidemic and the fentanyl epidemic that we saw in the United States right now, right? The fentanyl that's
Right,
adding to overdoses of people. When crack was first introduced in the United States in the early 80s, it was a recreational drug of young people and older people too. And what you found was because people couldn't see the long-term impact over 6 to 12 months, a bunch of people were trying it. It was a new fad. Cocaine was big, but very expensive. So then people had gone to the route of using crack. And that obviously led to crack babies, right? Children born addicted to crack because the mothers were smoking crack while pregnant, where you see that same thing happening now. You have Kush babies, right? Babies born addicted to Kush. I
right,
think the other challenge here is that Kush is the name of a strand of cannabis everywhere else in the world except for West Africa. So I think many people are thinking it's mostly just a stronger cannabis. They're likening it to like a loud. They're thinking they're just smoking loud, like a very strong cannabis. I
right,
don't think people are very aware of what's in it and how, even if they see people killing people, the person they're buying it from is saying, oh, this isn't that bad. And then once they're addicted, they're hooked, right? So
right,
the insidious part of it is the fact that people think it's cannabis, and that's how they're getting trapped. It kind of reminds me of DMX, the rapper who passed a couple of years ago. He mentioned that he was smoking cannabis with somebody he looked up to, and that person had laced their cannabis with crack. And so at 14 years old, he became immediately addicted to crack for the rest of his life. And so I think it's the same kind of thing as people are thinking they're smoking cannabis, but they're actually smoking synthetic cannabis and tramadol and or fentanyl and or
right.
human bones and all these other things as well,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
crazy.
crazy.
It,
And
it
so yeah,
is.
that is I think a hugely important part of the story. And there are like many stories like this where 19 cartons of tramadol went missing from the query. Sorry, from Elizabeth to somewhere. I don't know how to pronounce that. But like, okay, 19 cartons of tramadol. So where do you think that tramadol is going? What is it being used for? If we know that tramadol is one of the ingredients, it's possibly being used for cannabis. Um, there was this story of this young lady, and you can see the difference. I mean, you see her on the right, the before and the after. We don't even need to talk about it too much. You see it all right here. It's very obvious the impact it can have on you physically.
Right.
And you basically waste away. I mean, people are perishing on Kush daily. Daily, people are experiencing loss of life. I don't know if you have anything to say about the last two slides. Or you just what we were talking about.
Honestly, this photo got me again because I seen it yesterday circulate. It's circulating on TikTok. I was so like, I felt so bad. Like, it's so sad. It really is. And it's
Yeah.
sad that people are being misled, like lied to. Let me read this comment. Somebody said, yeah, I initially was also under the impression that it was just a stronger version of weed until I started watching documentaries of it on YouTube and doing my personal research. Exactly. Like, that's so crazy that people are misleading our people back home. It's just really sad, man.
Yeah, and you know, I was drawing the parallels between the crack epidemic and the Kush epidemic in Sierra Leone, and one of the things that I've also noticed too is
Hmm.
the is people like idolizing folks who've made a lot of money off of Kush here in Sierra Leone, much like people were doing in the United States. You know, Freeway Ricky Ross is somebody who's out trying to. He's out of jail now. He did about 20 something years in jail. He's out trying to turn things around. But two rappers named their rap name on one person who was the biggest crack dealer in California. His name was Freeway Ricky Ross. And so you can imagine two rappers, Rick Ross, who has also likened himself to Big Meech, who had 32 states where he had organizations where he was selling drugs out of and was convicted for other things, etc. But going back to Freeway, who was a rapper from Philadelphia, Rick Ross, a rapper from Miami, both took their name from Freeway Ricky Ross, who was a notorious crack dealer from the 80s in uh, Los Angeles. Now, two things I want to talk about here. One, um, it has to come from somewhere. So, although we have to hold these folks accountable, and I don't think we should be holding them in such high regard because they are a reason for loss of life in our country, it had to come from somewhere to get to them. Just like Freeway Ricky Ross did not go down to Colombia to buy the cocaine to sell in Los Angeles, somehow it got in his hands in the United States. People from Sierra Leone had to come from somewhere to get into this country. So
Right.
we need to it needs to go back to those folks. Those are the people that need to be held accountable. I want to go through one comment really quickly because I think Andrew Statiker is a perfect example of how we all thought Kush was something different when we first heard about it. He said, "I wonder if legalization is a better option at this point. The way the green leaf can be safely consumed by the citizens of Salon and surrounding countries, it would also boost tourism. Safely regulated and economically taxed would be a win-win for Salon." I agree if that was cannabis we were talking about. Unfortunately, Kush is not cannabis. This Kush that they've reappropriated here is not at all cannabis. So legalization, I don't think helps. I think treatment is what's going to help in this particular instance. Um, yeah,
Some,
and go ahead. Yeah, you had something.
somebody asked, is this an African wide thing or just Sierra Leone?
It's definitely a West Africa wide thing, but not everywhere. I just spoke to someone a little earlier. I don't. You guys might know I was live about 2 hours ago in Burkina Faso, and it doesn't seem to be as big in Burkina Faso. But in Liberia, they're criminalizing the usage of it, and in Guinea, it's also a big challenge as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
it is happening in Guinea and Liberia as well. And many of the drug dealers here are going and selling in Guinea and Liberia as well. And you know, as part of what I do, oh, network. Oh, can you guys still hear me right now? Just for this very second, or have I lost my audio? Can you still hear me, Admire?
Yeah, I could hear you. Let me see if they could. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. My network went out, but I think I'm still just connected to my own personal Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. That's why. Okay, because lights be don't go. So, so in my work as with this platform, I interview a lot of people, right? And so I had spoken to an individual who, when you hear their mentality about how they justify getting involved in the Kush business, it makes you it harkens back to like what I said before. So I heard 3 statements from this person that that I thought were interesting. I will start with the one that's the most disingenuous to the one where I say, okay, I maybe sort of understand the third one. So the first one, this person said to me, well, government and officials do it. I'm like, what proof do you have that government officials do it? Also, just because government officials do it doesn't mean you should do it, right? You are literally helping people around you experience loss of life. That is just
Right.
not okay. That is just not okay. There's no way that that's okay. And then the second rebuttal is like, well, what I'm involved in is not the toxic one. Mine is the light one. And then I also coach them on how to smoke it. I'm like, do you smoke it? Here's a good way to determine if the product you're selling is a good product. Do you utilize that product?
Right.
If you're going to sell something, then you should stand by it by using it. The best person to sell a product is a person who uses it.
True.
You know, so like for me, if I'm selling black soap, obviously I better be showering with black soap every day.
Right.
And if I'm not going to use the product that I'm selling, then I shouldn't be selling it. And so then there was a third rebuttal. You are an American. You have an American passport. You decided to come to Sierra Leone. It's not my choice to be here. The economy is really bad and I have no other option. Now, my rebuttal to that is this person has a business that is profitable. No, it's not as big as they want the business to be. But because there's this idea of keeping up with the Joneses, getting a new car before they own land or a house, which they've done, buying brand new clothes every week, going out to the club, being able to keep up financially is also the reason why many people want to do this, right? They want to make quick money and make it quickly. But I thought it was important to mention those 3 rebuttals that I hear from people who are on the ground involved in that industry, because it also gives you an idea of the mentality of those people that are actually selling it to people who they know they're causing the experience of loss of life. Any
Right.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, that is crazy. That's beyond me. I can't believe that was that individual's response, and the fact that they're not even taking it, that should tell you, like, yeah, that's a red flag right there. Like, I need you to sample it in front of me, like, to know if you're not doing that, then them just being defensive is just mm-mm. That's crazy. There's so
Yeah,
many
I mean,
things you could do coming from America. There's so much you could do in Sierra Leone. Why choose that? Why choose to do that? Like, it's just sad.
100%. 100%. Mass Bay Cannabis says, obviously a cannabis advocate, said these poisons have taken advantage of the ignorance and lies promoted by cannabis prohibition culture. SL Kush is a direct effect and a clear manifestation of the negative effects of cannabis prohibition. Agreed.
Right. Right.
Agreed. Cannabis prohibition is ridiculous. It needs to be legalized everywhere. Marie Shy says, peace. I seen this a week ago and started crying. This makes me sad. Yeah, it's very sad. Shoot Bebop Rocksteady says, I think Salon economically is not a place to be selling anything to escape from reality. It needs to be a must to change the reality for better, especially for the youth. I will also mention, and there are many documentaries on YouTube about this. BBC has done one. A24 has done one, whether you like A24 or not, but they did one. Africa News has done one. You can just Google or YouTube Sierra Leone Kush, and you can find all kinds of stories on this. Mass Bay Cannabis says, I think you misunderstood what I said. He said, I respect your opinion, AA, but before you dismiss cannabis decriminalization, I didn't dismiss it. I actually am an advocate for cannabis legalization. So I think you misunderstood what I said. I was speaking to the person who thought Kush here was cannabis, because it's not. And if in case you joined late and missed that, you'll see what I was talking about. What they thought I was talking about was actual Kush, which I'm a cannabis advocate. So I'm all for cannabis decriminalization and legalization. So I am by no means am dismissing it. Because for nothing more than, even at the very least, you can do more research and see its positive impacts on the human body, cannabis itself. But right now we're talking about Kush, which is not at all tied to cannabis.
Right.
So I know that it uses the name, but it's not at all tied to cannabis. So I want to get into some specific news stories that that speak to how people are being treated. But before I do, one of the things that I saw was, sometimes they are treating folks as psychiatric patients. And as of the last updated video that I saw, which I think is 3 months old, there's one psychiatric hospital in the entire country. One. And so for folks that are, and by the way, generally, if you are coming down off of a substance, a psychiatric hospital generally is not where that should happen. It should actually be a treatment facility, a rehab clinic, a substance abuse treatment facility is generally where you would want people to go. But because there is a lack of that, and the closest thing you have to that is a psychiatric hospital, you have 10 people in a small space, like almost looking like a jail, weaning off of this substance in real time. And it is tough to watch and to see. And but that is what's happening. That is what's happening today. And so, but I wanted to talk about how the problem is the villainization of the users and not the sellers, right? There are people who will villainize the users, but there isn't enough of a push to villainize the people selling. A couple pages, Salon Congosa and others, have been identifying alleged people who are in the practice of selling Kush to our youth. I can't confirm or deny whether their reports are correct. They seem to be pretty adamant that they know who it is. And if you're interested in seeing who they are saying, you can see it right online. I mean, Salon Congosa is a page that that's been reporting on this. But they're calling people's names out. They're calling out their crews and their names. They're showing pictures of them. I mean, they're being very, very explicit in who they're deciding to go after. Even other outlets, like Sierra Leonean outlets, that are calling people out as well. So, if you want to see that, you can do that. I am not in the business of doing that. That's for sure. But I can speak to my experience and who I've met and what I've heard. But yeah, that's what I would say. So let me go to this story, because there's a particular story that I found disturbing from last week that was here in Sierra Leone, where there was a video circulating online showing over 50 men suspected of smoking Kush, a dangerous synthetic drug, being apprehended and humiliating by community group in Freetown. The footage, filmed in unidentified neighborhood, depicts young boys seemingly between the ages of 14 and 17 years old being rounded up. The videographer was narrating the scene, claiming some of the captured youth had already exhibited injuries linked to Kush use. It's obviously highly addictive. But basically, they rounded them up. They were pouring water on them. And they were just basically humiliating them. And this is not a way to fix this problem. If anything, you are compounding the problem with people who are already dealing with a substance abuse issue. They've already been separated from their families. They've already lost whatever potential income they can earn. Many of them have no dignity, because many of them are living on the streets every day, and they're digging through trash and sewage to try to find something so they can get their 5 leones, 10 leones to go buy the Kush. So I think by humiliating people, you're just further subjugating them and not actually helping them. And criminalizing the usage of it also isn't helpful, which is what I'm seeing in other countries. I've heard that other countries, I don't want to speak to any in particular, have been criminalizing the usage of it. And again, and and again, basically not helping. Because if you criminalize it, you're putting them in jail, but you're not stopping their addiction, and they're going to find a way to get it. They're going to find a way to get it, because if they're out in 2 days, 3 days, whatever, they're going right back to doing it again. This is
Right.
an substance. You need treatment programs teaching people what the impact is and how they can find solutions to smoking it. There was a lot I just said. I want to turn it over to you, Admire, for any additional thoughts there.
Yeah, no, I saw that video too, and it absolutely crushed my heart. It doesn't make sense for them to be arrested, like you said. I totally agree. A treatment facility would be the best option, and I truly hope that they catch the actual people that have been selling it and that they are punished because this is crazy. Somebody commented and said, I think the nation as a whole needs to be educated about the drug. Most citizens of Sierra Leone will classify the users as Chrisman when in fact it's beyond that. I totally agree with that comment as
Yeah,
well.
100%. And there's two things that we have to think about here. There are folks that have psychosis, and sometimes drugs exacerbate it, right? So there are people that are mentally ill, and it was exacerbated by the use of Kush. I think that's a very small percentage of people. I think many people are just acting in a way because of the influence of the Kush. Why do I want to say cannabis? Of the Kush itself. So I think you have to treat these folks as people who have an illness, not as criminals. You need to treat the criminals as criminals, right? So Sai says, "Oh man, I saw these videos, very disturbing." Shoot says, "Yeah, it's no good. They need to get the people that are selling it." Mr. Kai Kai
Right.
himself says, "To be honest, we're only at the tip of the iceberg. There are many long-term consequences to Kush that haven't seen yet, and many not that won't impact society for another 5 to 10 years." You're exactly right, because the crack epidemic, by the time I was born, many years ago, 1984, my my mom told me I was born in Harlem Hospital. Harlem was one of the centers of the crack epidemic. And my mom told me when she was at the hospital, imagine Harlem Hospital in the 1980s, in the middle of the crack epidemic. You had babies born screaming because they needed crack. Just
Wow.
picture that. Screaming. Because usually it's fine when a baby cries when it's born, but
Right.
screaming and constantly screaming because it's addicted to crack. And over the years, what you find is you have like a whole generation, people my age, which then became substandard members of society, and then also having kids. So the impact of the crack epidemic in the crack era is now people 20 to 30, or let's say 20 to 25, who are
Mhm.
the children of people who came out of that crack epidemic, right? Who may have been crack babies, etc. So you have multiple generations now of people who are impacted by what crack did. So imagine what Kush is going to do to already a high child mortality rate, to already high instances of food insecurity and housing insecurity. You now exacerbate that problem with this. Um, so very good point, Jaya. Manelik said is extremely unfortunate. I would hate to hear that children are getting access to it and are using it. Young kids, young people are, yes, teenagers. But the children I'm speaking of mostly are the children that are born addicted to it. But yeah,
Right.
young people sure are definitely being impacted by this. Are there any other comments or thoughts before I move on?
I did see a video on TikTok last night or this morning where like there's a Kush baby. Like they said they fed him and stuff, but it bet for the Kush. Like that's crazy. Somebody commented and said it's time for the people of Sierra Leone to step into their power. There's a tendency to point fingers at the government, even when the action in question are within their control. Let me see if there's any more comments.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's another thing. That person is right about that. I think one of the things that I have come around to more, I used to be a very, very big advocate for government, and I still am. I think government is an important factor. I mean, you need roads, you need bridges, you need regulation, because capitalism is where people's greed goes to flourish.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important that private individuals get to work on these things. Government moves slow, and it's on purpose. Government moves slow on purpose, and that's not a bad thing. It just does. So when you have something like this, it's slow to move in on these kinds of things, regardless of where you are in the world. This is not a Sierra Leone only thing, just in general. So it does require people like us or private institutions to work on these things. People who have an understanding and a knowledge of substance abuse, especially those Sierra Leoneans working in that space. We will need you here in Sierra Leone. You don't need to move to Sierra Leone, but we just need to come and give advice. Even if you can go to the one psychiatric hospital we have here in Sierra Leone and just give some insight into what you've seen elsewhere that's been effective. If there are legislators, government officials that you can talk to, help them understand, I think these are all things that you can do, small parts to make an impact. Because I don't have any knowledge or understanding of the space, the only way I know how to help is to communicate it more broadly to a larger audience. So this is the part I'm playing, right? And same thing with Admire, right? I think our goal is to bring these things to the forefront so those of you who are experts in this field can actually do something about it.
Right.
Okay, cool. I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell, especially because it corrupts cannabis, which I am an advocate for. So that's my biggest issue here.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So now we're going to get to the main story of the mass burial, which has two elements to it. So we'll start with part one, and then we'll get to the part two. So on Thursday, March 14th, so Thursday of last week, I guess, or the week before last, in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, 32 unidentified individuals comprising of 25 men and 7 women who had all experienced loss of life after taking the drug known as Kush were buried, according to a report by BBC. So BBC reported this. These individuals represent the latest casualties of this narcotic, a synthetic cannabinoid, which I'm not even sure it's a cannabinoid, but whatever the leaf is, blended with other hazardous substances, which has gained popularity in the country. Rene Camara, the lead at Connaught Hospital morgue, approximates that his team retrieves 2 to 3 bodies daily. Remember, we're a country. Freetown only has 1 million people. We're a country of 9 million people or less. So 2 or 3 people a day is 1,000 people a year. Due to the absence of identification, many remain unclaimed at the morgue. Kush addiction has taken hold, especially among young people facing dire circumstances. In 2022, medical staff in Freetown revealed to BBC I program that 90% of the male admissions to the central psychiatric ward were linked to Kush use. So 2 to 3 a day, and that's just kind of like a anecdotal like number they threw out there.
Right.
That's crazy. For
crazy.
less than 1 million people, or for about 1 million people, you have 2 to 3 people a day. That is 900 to 1,000 a year.
Yeah,
that are the life for this.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Scary.
Yeah, very scary. I think is 1,000 1% of 1 million? Somebody do some math for me.
Is it?
I don't know.
I'm bad at math.
But if it's not 1%, it's less than 1%, but it's still, there should be no percentage of people overdosing from something that just arrived here 5 years ago.
Right.
Like any percent is a bad percent. Okay, Lenora says yes. Thank you, Lenora. I appreciate you. Lenora's on top. So 1% of Freetown's population is perishing a year due to this substance. 1%. That's crazy. To something that just was arrived when we already have so many other things that people are experiencing loss of life from. you now are adding this additional 1% of our population perishing. And many of them are unidentified because many people don't have IDs and they've been separated from their families. So imagine you have a family member who got hooked on Kush. You haven't seen them in a year. You have no idea if they are alive or unalive. And you won't know because they just had a mass burial for 32 people who have no headboard, who are unidentified. And so those people are now under the ground and their bodies cannot be identified by their family. Think about it. Let's take that into consideration. Death is horrible, but at the very least, you want to be able to say your goodbyes. You want to be able to say, like, see the person.
Right.
In this case, you don't even. That was 32 people just gone, buried in the ground. Nobody who's in their family had any idea. Let's just really think about that.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. Correction. No. Somebody said 10,000 is 1% of a million.
Okay, so 1,000 is a tenth of 1%, but even still, less than 1%, but it's still too many.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I appreciate the correction on the math. I don't do
yes,
math.
Thank you. Yours truly, Geeks, for the correction.
I usually don't do math in public, so my apologies on that. All right, so now this is an interesting thing. So there was also a video circulating. You guys can read what's on the screen, but there was a video circulating. I saw this video, and there was an arm moving, and the person stepped on the arm and continued to shovel dirt on the people. You saw the video, right, Amaya?
I did. That was cringe.
So it just goes to show how they see the folks that are using Kush. Now, right. In some cases, you might be able to say maybe it was a recently deceased, and sometimes they say that rigor mortis kicked in, things in your body happen where you move. That's a generous explanation. It's likely that the person was going through loss of life and they solidified their loss of life by burying them. In my opinion, I think this person was buried alive. And I think most people believe that.
Yeah, because of the movement. Like, there was clearly a hand movement.
Yeah, there was a hand move. Like, let me. For those of you who haven't seen the video, the hand moved like this. Like this. Not like that fast, but like if you were like maybe unconscious for a while and they thought that you had, or maybe you were paralyzed in other places and can't talk or whatever, and it may have been something like that. But that person's arm moved and the person stepped on the hand, right?
Right.
Like it wasn't just like they threw dirt on them. They stepped on the hand like to stop it from moving.
Right.
Anyway, you guys can watch the video and you'll see it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. And it was, that to me, I thought was crazy. So I wanted to bring that to you all's attention. Go ahead.
Sorry, I cannot say this person's name, but she said there's so much the government can do. This is the mentality we need to push away. Change do start with the individual himself or themselves.
Yeah, I think there needs to be incentives given to those who are distributors. Incentives to stop, right? So finding them other lines of ways to generate income to incentivize them to stop. You know how like in the States, in cities where you have really high gun violence, they'll give you $200 for a gun or up to $1,000 for your gun. Mm-hmm. These kinds of things I think need to be taken into consideration. If I know one thing about Salomon, they like money, right? So you may have to pay drug dealers to stop and pay. And I know snitching, blah, blah, blah. I am not an advocate for people who are involved in crime to snitch on other people. But look, at the end of the day, if you want to stop it, that is what the police is going to have to do. They're going to have to incentivize some people who are in it to turn other people over. And you got to go all the way to the top of the syndicate. You also need RICO laws. I know that sounds crazy. I know, that's not normally something you would hear someone of color say, but the same thing that because crack, you realize now I think one of the things that was an issue in America is that Black people were disproportionately impacted during the crack epidemic because the people who were bringing in the cocaine in the first place were never ever convicted, right? So it was always the low level dealers that were convicted. I'm not talking about low level dealers. I'm not talking about the everyday person who has no other options. I'm talking about the folks from the high level. And I'm not saying snitching is the solution. I'm just saying they need better tactics that might include incentivizing folks to help them sniff it out, figure out how it gets in, and cutting off the lines to it. That might be unpopular, especially because I don't know who's staying where I'm at right now. Might hear me talking right now and hear me saying this and be upset about it. Um, but I think that there needs to be some solution. I don't know what
Right.
it is.
I
I don't know what.
agree.
Yeah,
Strongly agree. Somebody said, "Hey Joe, where can I find the list of people identified for dealing Kush in Salon?"
there's a page called Salon Congosa.
You can check it out. They have names
Yeah,
and
Instagram page.
yeah, Salon Congosa is the name of the page.
But to be clear, it's alleged,
Yeah,
right?
it's not confirmed or denied.
Yeah, no, these people have not gone through the criminal system, have not been convicted. This is alleged based on maybe good evidence. I don't know, but it is alleged, and it is accused of. To be very clear, and I'm not even thinking about like American level laws about being sued. I just know, just be clear, they are throwing a lot of allegations and a lot of names out there, and so I don't know these people. So shout out
Yeah.
to America with the horns honking.
Someone
Um,
said, sorry to cut you off. You said mass burial. Did they all just die together or something?
I don't know what the story stated. They didn't really say. It was just they had all recently passed, and it probably just brought them from the morgue over. I didn't see any details about the specifics because, in general, there aren't very many details about the specifics when things like this happen. Jaya says, "I don't think snitching will fix it. Too much badats, in Salon for that to go the wrong way." True. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, there are probably people that are going to put it on other people who aren't actually in that business, and they could
That's true.
potentially get those people arrested. So you're right about that. I have a feeling I'm going to have to go in and edit what I said earlier when this goes live later. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm just saying it doesn't seem like the tactics that are in place are working. So they may need to find another way. I am a big advocate for positive incentivization, and whatever that might look like. So it came out sounding like snitching, but I really think what I mean is there are ways. Like I said, the buyback program for guns is successful in some amounts in the United States in a lot of cases. So they need some version of that, whatever that might look like in this case. So I think that was the main thing. I wanted to get to the story. That was the main story that we wanted to talk about. So yeah, we heard a lot from everyone, and we've gotten a chance to get our piece. I'm obviously very passionate about this. You can hear it in my voice and in my tone. Do you have any other thoughts, Admire, on this as on this topic?
Honestly, I would much rather the people to be punished, not like I get what you're saying, like saying give them incentives, but I rather them be punished for what they're doing, all the lives they've taken away, knowing that what they're doing is not okay. So I pray that they do get the punishment that they do deserve for doing what they're doing. Um, and also thank you to everyone who has been like commenting. Thank you guys for engaging with us, asking questions, and all of that. Someone said, "Did anyone recover from it?" From my research, I haven't seen anyone recover from it. I'm not sure. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, the documentary that the BBC I did had a couple of folks, and that's 2 years old, by the way. So BBC
I need
I,
to watch that documentary.
yeah, so they came to Sierra Leone. It's the same. It's the same group that did the documentary on the mayor that I reported on a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they came in. They talked to some folks that were going through treatment, who were considered recovering. Um,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, they should probably follow up because it's been 2 years, and
Right.
the relapse is a thing for many people, especially on something as highly addictive as this, especially if it has fentanyl and tramadol in it. Because especially fentanyl is highly addictive, but also highly deadly, I guess the word is. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, they said some people have recovered, of course, but what percentage of the folks? I mean, that kind of statistics and details are really hard to come by. Cool. Any other comments that you wanted to get? That you wanted to get?
Not really. Just
Okay.
that, and I need to watch that documentary. Hopefully, there is an updated version of it so we could see. I'll look into it. Um, but I really want these people to get caught and punished. Like they deserve to get punished
There you
for
have it.
real.
I mean, I definitely
And
would like.
also, I disagree with the people that are on Kush being in jail. Like that doesn't even help them. It does harm. It doesn't do any good. Like you said earlier, a treatment facility is the best option. Not jail, not them being whatever that they're doing, that's not it at all. Um
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like it's in the public humiliation piece too, right? Because that was something that we saw, right? Up to 50 young men were publicly humiliated. Um, you know, if let's say I'm being generous. Let's say 20% of the people who get addicted to Kush thought that they were just smoking cannabis.
Hmm.
Um, you can't blame that person who thought they were smoking cannabis for becoming addicted to something that they didn't think they were smoking willfully.
Right.
There's also the fact that when Kush first came to Sierra Leone, it was generally just K2 or spice, which is not as highly addictive. It's a psychoactive drug.
Hmm.
And there's a viral video of Miley Cyrus actually smoking K2 maybe like 10, 15 years ago. You guys can look that up online. And so in some cases, you could see, okay, somebody using that and thinking, all right, I'm all good. Um, but right now, we're talking about something where I don't think everyone is fully aware of it. And the dealers who are selling it to them are lying to them. Like,
Right.
mine is the good kind. It's not going to do that to you kind of thing. Right. So, and when you're buying something on the illicit market, you have to take the person's word for it. That person's selling you something, they're the expert. You're the
Right.
user. So you're going to listen to them and listen to whatever they say. So,
Somebody
yeah.
asked a very interesting question. He said, could this be as simple and cynical as, oh my gosh, it keeps going up, as they're trying to destroy the youth, um, and stop any form of uprising from the people of tomorrow? I'm as I'm reading it, like it's jumping. The comment I can't even read, but yeah.
But I know what you're trying to say. Like,
But
almost like
who
a
knows?
conspiracy theory. Like, yeah, like I mean, I don't. Okay, do you want to respond to it first, or should I?
Honestly, who knows? Who like I don't know. I don't know if these people that are selling it are in some way or form connected with the government and it's a plan or propaganda. I don't know. It could be. That's a good question. That's my thoughts on it.
Okay, yeah, I think anything is possible, but I tend not to dive into um, the waters of conspiracies it is tough to imagine this form of voter suppression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, like there are many ways to suppress the vote, for sure. But the thing is that if you're doing this, you're also getting your own party as well. You cannot. It's not like everybody who raises their hand for a particular party, they're like, all right, you all get the Kush. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense to lower your overall vote count. It looks like Instagram was disconnected because we went past an hour.
Oh, damn.
But yours is still live. Mine is done. Yours is still live for maybe another minute or so, another couple of minutes, because you got on late. How much time do you have?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Does it have a countdown for how long you've been live?
Nope. And then yours, it ended because yours was on this phone. And
Two salon uman. I get two phone. Of course. Salon pussy. Me say if I get two phone, but like that's an African thing. All right. So
I think it's an entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah,
when
it's an entrepreneur thing.
You gotta have
7 days, two phones. No, but anyway, so no, but to get back to the topic though, yes, as Amaya said earlier, thank you guys all for joining and for participating. If you want to hear more stories like this, hit that thumbs up. Let us know that you want to hear more like this. Also share this with people who've been asking about this. Friends of yours that are cannabis advocates, so that they know that, especially if they come here, and if somebody goes to sell them Kush, that they don't throw their life away. 1, 2, for those of you who have friends and family who have heard about it, who've talked about it, who aren't very clear on it, share this with them. Subscribe to both platforms. Subscribe to Sierra Leoneans Killing It, so you can see folks from Sierra Leone and the diaspora who are out there doing their thing. Subscribe to Authentic African for all things Pan-African news related. You can even go to our personal pages. I have Admire's personal page in the description as well. You're not going to find much on mine, so you might as well just follow Authentic African, because my personal life doesn't live on Instagram at this point as of yet. It will soon. But I just focus on Authentic African right now. I don't have the bandwidth to do my personal life on my personal page. So you go to Authentic African, you'll find everything you need there. But yeah, if you guys found this interesting, we want to do more of these. And it may be the same day, same time. But at the very least, we will be collaborating more. We'll decide if it's weekly or bi-weekly. But right now, we just know we're going to do more of these. Anything else you want to add, Maya?
Yeah, thank you guys. Like Joe said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to those who were very much engaging. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow him and follow me as well. Follow the pages. And also, like, whenever you see somebody who's being posted that's Sierra Leonean and killing it positively, follow them. Maybe you can collaborate with them one day. Like, you never know. So thank you guys again. And we're going to be doing this a lot. We hope that other platforms will talk about topics like this, uncomfortable topics, cringe topics, all type of topics, because we don't do this enough. So we hope that you guys continue to tune in and tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, share that we will be going live either weekly, like Joe said, or bi-weekly. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. And we look forward to, and I want to thank you, Admire, for agreeing to do this. I know we spoke a few weeks back and decided to do the airport one, but I think we can continue doing this and bringing this kind of information to our audiences. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you as well. Somebody said, good job. Thank you. Thank you. I think if we had the proper institutions, it'll be easier, but we don't, unfortunately. Thank you guys. This is the first time hearing from you guys. Thank you for the information. No problem.
No worries at all. Looking forward to it. I'm going live again in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Make sure you guys tune in.
Yes, tune into that. And I went live earlier today as well with Africa Stream. So it may look like I'll be going live 3 times every Monday, on across different topics on different things. So tune into one or all three of them, or just watch the replays, because my goal is to share as much education on topics on the continent as possible.
Right.
So with that, guys,
If
go
you
ahead.
miss
Go
his
ahead.
lives or the live later, share it on your platform as well.
Yes, I like that. Thank you. All right. With that, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you all on the next video.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye, guys.
guys.